Well, I'm slowly getting her cleaned up there. I mean, that's the thing is when you're homesteading on a budget, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning. It's about 29 degrees, so we had a light frost. Perfect spring morning. Sun's coming up. However, the forecast does say around noon, some heavy rain's supposed to move in because it is spring. So everybody's fed. I just got to go get myself some breakfast and then we'll get started on the day. Looks like we'll probably work on pastures today and continue clearing and getting this pasture set up. I'm really determined this year to get nice pastures going and cut down on my feed cost. All right, see you in a little bit. Okay, I'm all finished with breakfast now. I was gonna go up and start the pastures first, but I wanted to get this done real quick. The other day I stopped by the greenhouse and I picked up some seeds. I got some radishes, some carrots, and some leeks, kind of some cold weather crops that I wanted to get started here in the spring. And unfortunately, you know, I don't know if you've ever done that. I brought them home and I set them down on the table out on the porch and then forgot about them. Well, then it poured down rain all day Saturday. So they got a good soaking wet all day Saturday. So before they start sprouting too much, this is Monday, I want to go ahead and get them in the ground. So I was kind of thinking this is probably the first thing I ought to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and get this started here. We have this raised bed here I built last year. Last year was the first year with it. To save some money, I just went out and cut some logs, stacked the logs and timber screwed them together, and that's what I'm using for my raised beds. The only thing that really cost me was the time. These 4x4s here, I bought one of those sawmills for the chainsaw. I don't know, I really wouldn't recommend it. One of the things that you have to have a big enough chainsaw to run it. If you don't have a big enough chainsaw, then don't bother with it. I thought my chainsaw would be big enough, and it just bogged it down, took forever. I mean, to cut those poles, took me all day. It just wasn't worth it. For the little bit of money I saved on not going and buying 4x4s, I wasted so much time out there goofing around, just trying to So what I usually do is, after I plant the seed, if I have the leftover empty packet, I put that as a marker so that way I remember what I planted there. So I'm planting like radishes and carrots, things that are okay to plant around here. I mean, it is still early spring here. I mean, we're almost to the end of March. Our last frost date isn't until May. But the way I look at it is sometimes, I mean, radishes will be fine. Things like that, they can take down until it gets down below 20. But I like to push the envelope a lot of times with my gardening. I figure it's like this, you know, it's $1 pack of seeds. If I ruin them, I ruin them. I'd rather, you know, a lot of times it always works out for me. I'll push the envelope, get it in early, and get an early crop. It seems like if you wait, most of the time, it doesn't go so well. Okay, so I got everything covered up good. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put down this chicken wire on top here to kind of keep the chickens out. Because like I said, we free range chickens, they're going to come up here and tear that all up. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but right there where that big rock is, there's a turkey moving around in there. And she went in behind that rock there and sat there for a while. Now it looks like she's back out on the move. We'll go up there and check to see in a little bit here if she laid an egg back in there. That's one really hard thing. That's one really hard thing about free range and turkeys, is the fact is that they're not like chickens and they make a whole lot of noise when they lay an egg. They're pretty silent about it. So to find their nest, you have to be very patient and very observant. Other than that, you're never going to find them. We always like to collect them here in the early spring. I want to collect usually about 50 to 100 eggs. I mean, I do have 4 hens, and each one will lay about that amount, about 50 to 100 eggs. But we'll collect the first about 50 to 100 eggs, and we'll try to hatch them out in an incubator, and then we will allow the hens to try to hatch out a few themselves. Last year we didn't have a whole lot of success with the hens hatching. We actually lost 2 of our 4 hens. A lot of it is that when you're leaving them out like that, but the thing was, you know, both of them went out and hid their nest on me. I didn't know where they were, and until I found them, and then I went to try to move them. For some reason, I didn't get to it that day. And that night, Predator got them. I prefer us incubating everything, although the thing with mama hatching, it's just that, you know, you don't have the added expenses of running that incubator or the added cost of and not so much the cost, but the care on the chicks. You know, the mama takes care of all that. You don't have to worry about heat lamps and getting the temperature just right and everything like that. Our hens do it rather well for our chickens, but the turkeys, on the other hand, it's a little more difficult. Okay, so that's all done. With this chicken wire on here, the birds should stay out of here. That'll keep the chickens out of the garden there till everything gets growing. I mean, that's one thing, like I said, with free range chickens, they do tear everything up. And so you got to protect everything from them unless you want everything tore up. So, I mean, those seeds got wet. I'm hoping that I easy got them in the ground quick enough. I don't think I lost them or anything like that. But let's go up here on the hillside real quick where that hen was and see what is behind that rock and see if maybe I found another nest. Because so far I'm only getting 1 egg a day off the one nest. So I know that's only got to be one hen. Now, 2 of the hens were born here last year and they still seem a little small. But with us crossbreeding them, it could be why they're small. Let's see here. The problem with turkeys is after they lay, they do bury their eggs. So first you got to watch when you're stepping around here. Just in case she buried them down here, but she seemed like she was up in here working. But nothing really seems to be disturbed. So I guess I didn't find any more eggs yet. I just have to keep looking and I'll find their nest yet. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready and start heading up to work on pastures again. Okay, I'm back up here in the pastures. I want to go ahead and get started today. I want to just work on cleanup now. I'm thinking about, you know, picking up some of these rocks and using a chainsaw, cut some down that brush, cut some of these stumps up, some of these logs up, and get what I can off of here for firewood. I mean, it's going to be a lot of work to get this pasture going, but you know, the thing was the land was cheap, so that's all we could afford at the time. Pasture is kind of the most important thing if you're going to raise ruminants. That way you're not buying feed. Once we get this growing and we get this established, you know, we can turn them out over here and they can graze and it won't cost us anything, and we're not buying so much hay. And you know, ruminants are a really important part of our diet. Pretty much since November I've been on a carnivore diet where I've been eating primarily meat. I ate meat for about 3 months straight, and then currently I'm eating a few vegetables, but I'm thinking about going back to strictly carnivore. From November till I start eating vegetables back at the beginning of March, I lost over 40 pounds. I'd still like to lose about another 15 pounds. And also the just many other health benefits I noticed. You know, I'm not snoring, sleeping better, resting better. I feel more energetic. Just everything seems better. So I really want to get some pasture growing here, so I have something for these cows. All right, I'm going to get to work. One thing I learn to do whenever I am working on something like this, like I'll pick rocks for a while, then I'll pick the chainsaw up, saw for a while, then I'll go back to picking rocks. I get bored doing the same thing over and over and over again. So what I find is sometimes that, you know, drive my wife crazy because I'll jump around from job to job to job, but it kind of keeps me a little bit more motivated. I think I get more done that way. Well, I'm slowly getting her cleaned up there. I mean, that's the thing is when you're homesteading on a budget, you can't just go out there and rent big equipment and come in here and clear the land. Sometimes you got to use animals like we did. You know, we used the goats to bring down the brush. Then we had some pigs in here, and the pigs rooted things up. Now I'm in here just cleaning out everything that they didn't eat and getting it all down to where now the grass can start growing. Unfortunately, there's no natural way of picking up rocks and getting the rocks cleared out of here. But, you know, it's baby steps. It's building a pasture on a budget. And that's what sometimes you just got to do. Well, I got a good bit done today. Got most of that brush area cleaned up. Got some logs thrown down here over the hill and some bunch of rocks. And I got to get this cleaned up here. It's starting to rain right now, so I got to run into town and pick up a couple things from the grocery store. We mostly shop at a local Amish store. It's only open from like 8 to 4. And then get back, and it's going to be time to do animal feeding. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off for the day, and I'll pick up again tomorrow. And like always, thanks for stopping by the homestead and checking out what's going on. Please like and subscribe to the video. I'd really appreciate that if you do that for me. And as always, thanks for stopping by the homestead.